Ready Check Radio. What's up, Internet? Welcome to the Relic Grind. It is Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern. That means we're doing the Final Fantasy XIV Square Enix podcast, brought to you by Ready Check Radio, RAIDEO. If you're listening on Spotify, head on over to the website, readycheckradio.com. Click all the socials in the upper right-hand corner, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, you name it, it's there. Click it, favorite, subscribe, tell your friends. Really helps us out. Spread the word. And if you can make it live, hang out and chat. They're a bunch of maniacs, but you'll love them anyway. And maybe get your opinions of things put on the show. Of course, we know what today is all about. Now, it is normally, gentlemen, the Final Fantasy / Square Enix podcast. And we do a lot of Final Fantasy XIV stuff. And then we cover a lot of Square Enix stuff. Today, I don't think we're going to be talking a lot about Square Enix extra stuff. It is pretty much going to be a Final Fantasy XIV show. Maybe I'll throw in a little bit of extra near news just for you at the end. And maybe a little Saga Frontier. Like maybe just briefly we'll hit you with those just to make sure you remember. Just little snippets. Because today it is all about patch 5.5. It finally launched Tuesday. Now we've got till the end of May when part 2 launches. And then, presumably, a couple of months away from Endwalker. We're going to run it from top to bottom, give you our opinions. There's going to be a heavy opinion cast to give them. We'll start off with Chris Montoya. What's up, Tarkoth?
Greetings, programs. I am doing fantabulous. Happy to be here. There is some breaking news. Like, this literally just dropped on the Lodestone. I'm looking at it now. Apparently, 5.55 is getting its own title. Apparently, it's such a big story, and I guess this look kind of ties in with Bozja. It's getting its own title. First time a half patch has ever gotten its own title. It's always been part 1, part 2. So the title apparently is going to be The Great Push. So that's going to be exciting. Great title. I love it. That's a joke. Mike loves it.
I guess
right there on his face. It's all over his face.
If you're wondering what that's all about, go check out Snowbound. The Blizzard podcast airs Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern, right here, Ready Check Radio. Also on the line, Adam Lane, a.k.a. Kronos. What's up, sir?
I thought he was going to say breaking news. He just beat the MSQ. I thought that's what he
thought. Too funny.
That will happen any moment now. That will happen any moment now, actually. So we should disclose that, right? So everybody, all three of us have completed all the MSQ. I know, Tark, you told us where you're at. You have like 2 cutscenes left. There is nothing left for you to do, so you're done. Kronos, you finished it as well, right?
Yeah, okay, I've done pretty much everything. So
yeah. So here's what we're gonna do, gentlemen. Let's take it. We've been using the site's patch site, the 5.5 patch site, as kind of like our guide when we reviewed what was going to be there, when we reviewed what was going to be talked about or we thought would be talked about in the live letter. I think we just stick with tradition, gentlemen, and we just kind of take it from top down on the patch site, and we'll kind of give our opinions along the way. Now, we should put this disclaimer out there. When we have done shows in the past on the big patches, the .2s, the .3s, the .4s, and this show relatively new. I know we did .4. I can't remember if we did .3 or not. I don't think we were up and running.
We started after.
Yeah. So we have usually waited until the second show, or sometimes a little bit longer on certain things, to talk about spoilers. Right? We've never done the content on Tuesday and then come in on Thursday and spoiled a bunch of shit on the show. We always at least waited till the following Thursday if we had extra opinions about spoiler stuff. I am of the persuasion here that there really isn't a lot to spoil in this case. So I guess be warned, we're not going to put that safeguard in place. If you have not played the main story and you just don't want to know jack about it, then pause this, go finish it. It's not going to take you long, and then come on back and you can see if your opinions align with ours. There are other places where I think spoilers might be more pertinent or bigger, but the main story quest I don't think is one of them. So be warned, we could talk about spoilers on this show. I don't think we need that safeguard. It's not a big enough patch. They really made this one tiny, Chronos, as far as a .5 goes, because of what they're trying to do to prep 6.0, and part 2 will lead into 6.0. So I guess we'll start there. As far as a .5 patch goes, yeah, 24-person raid. Yeah, new trial. And a extreme version of the trial. But as far as the MSQ goes, which is the first thing we're going to do, Death Unto Dawn Part 1, I got to say, this probably wasn't that great for me. And I'm wondering if I'm alone on this one. I enjoyed it. It was fine. But I think they might have focused a little too much on we don't want to tease anything until part 2, and maybe at the expense of part 1 a little bit. Literally, for me, you did nothing but touch 3 orbs, run a dungeon, and read. That was it. That was it. What do you think, Kronos?
I kind of liked it. Just the story stuff. I mean, yeah, you didn't really do much, right? Like you're not.
Oh yeah, I'm not bashing the story. I'm not bashing the story. You know,
I enjoy, like, I guess for me, like, when it comes to the MSQ, like, I mean, solo instances are cool and all, and I mean, I'm sure a lot of people really enjoy those. They don't really like get me going. I guess they don't really rev me up when it comes to this game. Like solo instances, I usually knock them out pretty quickly. So, like, I'm really just in the MSQ to watch the cutscenes most of the time and, like, kind of see where we're going and what the story's doing, and then run the dungeon. And for me, I like what this patch did when it came to that, but I can understand for the people that, like, wanted to do more, I guess. Yeah, there wasn't a lot of that. Like you said, you literally touch, like, 3 nodes, you talk to some people, and you watch some cutscenes, and you run 1 dungeon. But I like where the story's going.
I absolutely love where the story's going. And Ferris in chat says this part of the MSQ was a massive cock tease, and I can't disagree, right? Mm-hmm. We know 100% if you did not buy the fact that we all kind of thought Xenos was going to represent the new class, the new melee DPS class, 100% he is going to be representing the new melee DPS class. 100% whatever the weapon is would spoil the class, because he finds the weapon, but you don't see it, and the camera 3 different times in that cutscene, Tark, stops you from seeing it by putting a pillar in the way or cutting to black. I mean, the whole thing was a huge tease, and I liked the story, but as far as doing anything, there's not much to do. The dungeon, click a couple of things. The cutscenes, while good and definitely moving the story, just really feel like they kind of set up what we already knew in text.
Yeah, and for the most part, the trailer kind of spoiled everything that we were doing. There wasn't anything fresh or new. We pretty much knew what was coming into it with the trailer. I really liked this MSQ though. Free TMI. Come on, that was just awesome.
Yeah, Ferris pointing out, by the way, and I did forget to say this. Somebody did try and use tools to remove the pillar from the cutscene to data mine what weapon was behind it. It's not even there. It's not in the scene. They're not that dumb.
They're not that dumb.
They're not that dumb. It's got to be a scythe, right? Like, it has to be a scythe.
Soul Reaver.
Yeah, we already kind of saw what looked like part of a scythe in the original 5.5 stuff, or the Endwalker trailer, more specific, the teaser trailer for Endwalker. We already saw what looks like to be a scythe. And yeah, you got to feel, I still to this day feel bad for Dark Knights. They should have gotten Scythe when that launched back in that day. I went back and watched an old episode of State of the Realm that I was on with Happy, where I was all shades of pissed. The Dark Knight did not have the Scythe. I absolutely was pissed. But yeah, so great cutscenes, great story, but I don't know. I just felt a little underwhelmed, I guess is a good way to say it. A good way to say it.
I know, and I just finished it, so I'm feeling pretty good about it. So maybe give me a day to sit with my feelings, and maybe I'll feel differently. But right now, I'm feeling pretty good about it. And I just finished the dungeon. That dungeon's one of the best dungeons of the whole expansion. I loved it. It was great.
All right, well, let's go there since we're talking about the main story quest. I know on the site it has us going into Yorha first, but since we're talking about MSQ, let's throw the dungeon in here. Pogbathon, you love it, Tark. Let's start with you then. What did you like about it? And what's got you all hyped up for it?
New mechanics, especially with Lunar Bahamut. I like the mixing of mechanics from all sorts of different stuff. I think it was during the second boss, where you got the basically the water turrets from Matoya's. We got Bismarck. We got to hop up. We got to whack at the node, and then we get knocked back down. So that was cool. I didn't like it in Bismarck, but I liked it in this dungeon boss fight. Having Tiamat come in, help us out with the ads. The whole aesthetic, the fields of Pogbathon. When we first see that, I was like, "Oh, that is amazing!" And especially on the new 4K. Oh, sweet. Mwah.
We're gonna get to that in a little bit. Yeah. Are you of the same mind, Kronos? Because here's the thing about the dungeon. I got to get my bad out of the way first before we can talk about the good. It is just another Final Fantasy XIV run in a straight line.
True.
Pull the packs together, nuke them all down until it'll let you go any further and kill the bosses. Even the first time through with people I didn't know in a pug, it was mass pull, burn it down, boss fight. Mass pull, burn it down, boss fight. The only time you couldn't mass pull was in between the second and the third boss because there's the break with the dragon flight thing. So you had two different pulls there. It keeps following in that train. I hate that. Final Fantasy, I will acknowledge, is not the only game that, suffers from this type of dungeon design. So let's set that aside. That's always going to be my bad until they do something different, and I just don't know if that's ever going to come. But there is a lot good here, Kronos. What did you like?
So yeah, I basically agree with both of you, honestly. But that's how all Final Fantasy XIV dungeons are, right? And we've discussed this.
But here's the thing: they weren't always.
Right, true. Yeah, I'm just I agree with you. I love the dungeon. Let me just say that first. I like everything that Tark said, but it's still going to be boring to run in a month from now, or 3 weeks from now. It's not going to be anything different than every other dungeon. So I agree with you on that front too. But yeah, the first time running it was awesome. All the things Tarkov said is basically hit on all the points. The bosses are pretty cool. They have some new stuff that they don't really do in dungeons, or they haven't really done before in a dungeon. The second boss, I don't know, it reminds me of a Contra boss for some reason. It's
definitely
Contra.
Yeah, the first boss, the end of the first level. I know exactly what you're talking about.
So it's pretty cool. Lunar Bahamut's pretty cool, even though a lot of us thought it was gonna be Ifrit, it ended up being Bahamut. Which then tells us that all that stuff they showed in the trailer is all in the next half patch.
Yeah. Well, Ifrit is brought up in the MSQ afterwards, so yeah.
Right. But yeah, I thought the aesthetic of the dungeon's awesome, and then riding on the dragon for the first time is pretty cool. You see all the fields and stuff, and it looks awesome. But I can imagine that's gonna get old too, right? Because and it's just
at some point you're I just want to get to the next pull. Let's go.
Right.
No, see, so badly I wanted something to happen while we were on the dragons. Where even if, you're going to put me on rails and I can't control the flight, have some type of mechanic that we've got to take out things, with air fire raining down on the way there. When I was bored through the dungeon as far as the way it goes. MSQ wise, it is fantastic. Lore-wise, presentation-wise, it is beautiful. It is, you have Estinian going in there, then you have Tiamat coming through and blasting things like cinematically, I should say, it is a fantastic dungeon and probably one of the better ones, in my opinion, lately. There is a lot going on that it actually makes it feel like a pertinent part of the main story quest. Matoya's Relic felt like we need a dungeon here.
Yep.
Let's say Matoya needs something from a different building and let's go get it. This felt absolutely part of the MSQ cinematically. It was perfect. I wanted when those dragons dropped and everybody has to click one to get on, I'm like, oh, please let me just like air bomb something or some new little thing in here. That would be enough to make me go, all right, they're thinking about new ways to make these things. It was beautiful flying over the fields, but that's all it is. You just fly over. It could have been done with a teleporter. This was just more cinematic.
Yeah.
I don't know. I did like it. I really did like it. The Lunar Bahamut fight is great. I think it's a very cool fight. But it is also like the downside of my list, Tark, is Tiamat and Lunar Bahamut entered the story and immediately are gone. They are immediately gone from the story.
Such build up from 5.4 and now, okay.
Right.
Wipe our hands. Okay. Moving on. It's like, wait.
Gone. Lunar Bahamut relegated to a dungeon boss that is defeated, clearly defeated, not, and just gone. Ferris says maybe for now. Again. I don't think it's maybe for now because I think the focus shifts to Lunar Efreet at this point.
Right.
And Lunar Ravana and, whatever else is out there.
I think we're going to take care of those before the expansion even drops at this point.
I think so, too.
I think it almost feels like, to what you just said, though, it feels like they brought Lunar Bahamut in last patch so that they could have an excuse to release Tiamat. That's what it feels like. So, like, maybe they're going to use her in, like, a side quest in Endwalker or something.
Because we're going to be in the south? Maybe.
I don't know. Yeah, maybe. Like, I'm not sure what they're going to do with her, but it seemed like they didn't really have to choose Bahamut first. I mean, Bahamut's a pretty big deal, right? So, like, I feel like really why they chose Bahamut is to release her to do something with Tiamat. If it's not, then they just release Tiamat to do nothing.
It was almost disappointing that Lunar Bahamut was relegated to a dungeon boss.
I thought it was going to matter a lot more. Yeah.
But I'll give the dungeon. Let's score it 1 to 10, right? I'll give the dungeon an 8. I'm going to set aside my biggest gripe, which is that the dungeons, and I've said it enough, are the biggest area of opportunity because they're all straight lines. That's not exclusive to Final Fantasy XIV either in the MMO space, so it's not just a 14 issue. So I'm going to set that aside and not let it impact my scoring because it is what it is, and I knew that's what it was going to be before I got there. So setting that aside, I got to give it like an 8. Like cinematically, it was perfect, Tark. Cinematically, it was exactly what it needed to be. It's been a while since a dungeon fit the MSQ for me as much as this one does and feels like it's actually part of the MSQ. And the boss fights were pretty damn cool. I loved the lightning stuff in the first one, having to ground it on the light posts and stuff. I thought that was really cool.
I failed that twice. I was like, what am I doing with this?
I'm going to give it an 8, Tark. What about you?
I'll give it an 8.5. And you're right on. It felt one of the most cinematic as far as the MSQ is concerned, probably since the last dungeon of 5.0. That was a huge, over the world, and it just looks amazing. You're fighting this huge boss, and it's just an epic moment. So that it gave me good feels in that way. But yeah, you're right. You got to judge it against other Final Fantasy dungeons, unfortunately, because I wish we had good dungeon content, and I feel WoW does that. And I know there's this whole Mythic Plus, people like it, don't like it. I wish they were more challenging. I wish there was a reason to go back into them, especially with a 5.5 patch. Like, I'm already done farming tomestones. I don't really need to do an expert, so I don't really need to see this dungeon ever again. So
says the guy who just acknowledged a few moments ago failed the mechanic the first 2 times in the first boss fight.
Yeah, I don't need to see it again. It's done. It's beat. So but I really did. Judging against other Final Fantasy dungeons, 8.5. I really liked it.
Ferris in chat says the soundtrack was amazing. It was absolutely.
It was.
Really
it was great.
It was
God,
good.
Soaking kicks ass.
What we're gonna talk about next, I think, beats it on that front, though. But the soundtrack was lit. Go ahead, Kronos.
Yeah, I'm right there with you guys. I'm gonna give it an 8 too. I think me and Mike are of pretty much the same mind when it comes to this dungeon and the 14 dungeons as a whole.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean it's awesome though. It's like I think you made a good point too. It's the best cinematic dungeon like that relates to the main story since Amarat, 100%. Like it actually feels like you're doing something like for the main story. Like,
Consequences, kinda.
yeah, like I mean, Heroes Gauntlet kind of had that, but it was Heroes Gauntlet was more just like, hey, look at all your friends showing back up kind of thing. Whereas this like had some like gravity to it. It felt like.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
yeah.
I agree. All right, next up, we'll get to the 24-person raid, Yorha Dark Apocalypse. Wraps up the whole Yorha storyline. If you're a Nier fan, man, I gotta say, I'm gonna let somebody else go first, but I honestly feel like they saved the best for last here. When comparing the other Nier dungeons, the Tower of Paradigm's Breach. We'll start with you this time, Kronos. What'd you think?
I thought it was awesome. Aesthetically, like if you've played Nier, I haven't played Replicant, and a lot of the references in this, like with the bosses and the gear, are a lot of Replicant references.
Yep.
So I didn't really get the references.
I'm going to show some footage that I recorded while doing it for the first time. So excuse me, I don't remember if I cropped deaths out of this or not. But if I die, I die. It's first time through with no video. Didn't know what we were getting into, but I show a couple of the bosses here. So enjoy.
Yeah, but it was. The bosses were a lot of fun. I don't really care for the first boss much. I thought he was kind of bland. But every boss after the first boss is awesome. Like the twins, the second boss, they're pretty fun. Although tanks are really bad at that. The third boss, the girl in the red dress, I thought was pretty cool. You get to play the hacking minigame, which is awesome.
Yep.
And then the last boss, holy crap! The last boss is amazing. Like that arena, please do that more. Please do that more.
Yep.
That arena is so cool. I mean, the mechanics, like, they're not the hardest thing in the world, but, like, I know the first time I got in there, I don't know if this happened to you guys, but the floor goes clear, right? And I'm like, oh, whatever, dude. It's just fine. And I'm just looking ahead. You know, I never think to look down.
Oh,
and
see, I always have, like, a slight angle to my camera, so I got the mechanic immediately. As soon as the floor went clear and I could see the top of the building below us, except I thought it was reversed. I thought we needed to land on the rooftop that was below us and continue the fight there.
So the same thing happened to you. We just thought two different things.
Yeah, I slammed right into the damn thing and died and then got rezzed. And I'm like, okay, so avoid the buildings. Gotcha.
And then, like, the music and, like, particularly the last boss music.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's, like, not the most, like, you know, it's not super metal or anything like that, but, like, man, that remix, it's like Final Fantasy I main theme, basically, like remixed with a Nier track, and it's some of the best music I think I've ever heard.
Don't be fooled by the trailer. It is not the music you think is going to be playing there by watching the trailer. It is a totally different track. So here's the second boss, Hansel and Gretel. This was my favorite boss in here, I think. I did very, very much like the last one, too. The trains were, that was cool. The trains coming in, and they utilize that in a couple different ways. But I thought the mechanics from the top to bottom, this was the most Final Fantasy feeling of the Nier raids for me, by far. This is what I would have liked from the originals. This was clearly a Nier-inspired raid in a Final Fantasy XIV game, not trying to turn Nier content in a way that works in an MMO. That's not to say I didn't enjoy the first two. I very much did. I still gotta keep going to Puppet's Bunker because I don't have my stupid 2 minions yet. I keep losing on those.
We'll go together.
Yeah, hey, I need them, so let's do it. But this felt really Final Fantasy. Hansel and Gretel, I thought, was a tremendous fight, particularly because we literally just talked about there not really being a need for multiple tanks in most Final Fantasy content. A few tank swaps here and there because of stacks, particularly if you're a Savage Raider and stuff like that, but not a ton of it. The tanks have to know what they're doing here. And they have to get a grip on, okay, that's what's going on. Great. All right, now we got it. And I liked seeing that. It's not hard. You know, once you get it, you're okay. Once you know what's going on, you're fine. Here's a little bit of the last boss, too. Just absolutely tremendous raid. The music is phenomenal, and it is 100% my favorite of the 3 Nier raids. I don't know where it fits in the top of like all 24. Crystal Tower was so damn good for me. So damn good for me that that I don't know where it fits, but it's up there. What about you, Tark? What do you think about Yorha?
I unfortunately had this little tiny human and her brother that have been occupying me for the last day plus. So I have not gotten to Nier. So I am stoked now. You guys have I need to get it done as soon as this is over.
It's a blast, dude. It is an absolute blast.
How's the story? I mean, you guys didn't talk about the
story.
It's better.
Okay. Yeah, it's better. It's better.
Okay. Yeah.
The I guess the one disappointing part to me was like this patch did not have a beast tribe, right? And we're used to seeing a beast tribe in the 5. But this quest opens a weekly, or this 24-man completion opens a weekly quest. And I'm just like, where are we going with this? Why didn't
I
you
have
just,
no idea.
Why didn't you just make them a beast tribe? Where are we going with this weekly quest? Like, I get what we're doing, you know, rebuilding and all that shit, but I'm not gaining rep with them. Like, I'm gonna do it once a week now because I don't know. It fills in. You remember how in the first 2, Tark, you had to take the journal back into Puppet's bunker or back into the copied factory and go explore things to fill like 11 different items?
Yep.
That doesn't happen in this one. You can't get back into this one, but the weekly rewards you with another quest that is, my guess is it's going to continue of Anog sending cards to you that then fill in that part of the journal. So
and then when you have a full journal, we get different endings.
I don't know. We'll see. I don't know where they're going with this. If you like Nier, then this was fantastic. If you've played Nier Replicant, it was even better. And if you were just so-so on the first 2, you didn't absolutely hate the first 2, I think you're really going to love this one. The first boss is long needlessly, I think. The second one is great. The third one is good, and the fourth one is great as well. So I'm going to give it a 9. I'm actually going to give this a 9 out of 10. I enjoyed the hell out of this one. Tark, we'll circle back to you next week for your score, but what about you, Kronos?
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 9 too. Honestly, the only thing I'm gonna kind of knock 24-mans for, right? Just for like in general for a second. So like if you've ever done a raid, right, like an 8-man raid, you know, like everything has like a protean mechanic where like you have your spots. I feel like in 24 bands, the equivalent of that is get in the middle and then get to the sides. Like every boss has those mechanics, and I wish they would kind of experiment with that a little bit more. But there are mechanics in here that don't really exist in other places, like especially on the last boss, which I love. And I just want more of that. But so yeah, it's really fun. The only knock on it is I don't really like the first boss much. Like after I did the first boss, I was like, oh, this is gonna be so lame. But then every boss after that killed.
I was all right with the first boss. I just thought the fight was too long, and obviously that will become less and less of an issue as more geared, you know, people get more geared for it that aren't like at the Savage or high end of the normal rating scale. At the 510s, the 515s, the 520s, stuff like that. I think that'll get better over time. Or maybe it'll be tuned a little bit. That's something that I was thinking about, by the way. You don't see Square having to tune the raids an awful lot.
No, their internal QA is
it's
pretty damn good.
Pretty damn good. This one's
no
definitely
need for
worth
BTR here.
Yeah, right. Next up, we've got, let's combine these two, the Sorrow of Werlet, which then leads into the Cloud Deck trial against Diamond Weapon. Tark, did you have a chance to do this one?
I got the normal done.
You got the normal done?
Good normal fight. Okay. And the story. So
we'll start with you. We'll start with you on this one then. Go ahead.
All right. The fight is awesome. I like the having to remember some of the mechanics from the previous weapons, hopping back and forth between panels. Coming into its doggo form was pretty legit. I was like, oh, it's a dog, but okay, sure. I got knocked off twice. That was great. I felt just peachy on that. And then the story, I'm sorry, it's got to be...
But ladies and gentlemen, he wants content to be harder.
Yes, harder. I do want harder content.
Make it harder.
But they
He
took
wants,
away
he
our
wants
hardest
to
content
fall off
and
4
pushed it to
times, not 2
6.1.
times.
Yes. Hey, and that's how you learn. You get better.
Yep. That's true.
But the story, I would just say about the story, one of the most gratifying and visceral off-screen deaths ever. It was amazing.
I can't agree with you more, actually. I thought the story here, I actually teared up a little bit. Yeah. I think the story here is executed better than the MSQ. Sure. In just this patch, like in a vacuum, just the 5.5 patch. The story, and MSQ is setting things up great. I can appreciate that, but I really didn't feel like a lot happened. Like, I feel like things I already knew were just said out loud. In the Sorrow questline, man, that was some good stuff. That was some very, very good stuff. This is where I am going to hesitate to spoil things for you, because I think this could be a bigger spoiler for some people. Yeah. The diamond weapon fight itself, the normal version, I thought was great. I wasn't like blown away by it. I think they've done better trials. The extreme version, I don't have my first clear yet, but holy hell, like the extreme version is so much more interesting to me than the normal version, because not only is there the movement between the two platforms, which quite frankly is mainly for most mechanics optional in normal. There's one that you really do have to bounce, but in the extreme version, there are absolute reasons to split your party onto the two platforms. There are absolute reasons why it might seem easiest if you teleported now, but you have to wait. You can't do it now because you're prepping for another mechanic coming down the line, and there's a 20-second debuff in teleporting. I thought while the normal version of this, I think we've done better in some in even just some 5.0s, 5.x trials. I think the extreme version of this might be one of the more interesting ones for me in the entire 5.x series. What about you, Kronos?
Again, I think we have the same mind today.
I swear to God, by the way, nobody knew anybody's opinions on any of this stuff. The only thing I shared with either of these two was, hey, Kronos, it's another straight line dungeon. Yay. That was it.
Yeah.
And Kronos and I do not raid together, so our opinions are coming from two different experiences.
I've cleared the extreme. I'll talk about the story briefly because I'm not gonna spoil anything. It's awesome. Basically, what you guys said. If you haven't done it, it's definitely a good payoff if you've done that whole quest, and it makes me care more about Gaius and then those characters, which is awesome.
I agree. The development that character has received in the last 3 patches is tremendous compared to not only the development he had in A Realm Reborn and forward, but even the development in 1.0 for players there. Yeah, he was an important person, but as far as a character, man, these last 3 patches have nailed it for Gaius.
Yeah, 100%. Like you said, the normal mode, it's it's a normal mode, right? It's fine. It's fun first time, and I'll never do it again. The extreme though is like you said, amazing. That debuff is what makes all the difference.
Yeah.
The fact that you can only jump once every 20 seconds is what makes you have to think about all the different mechanics. I did it basically blind and in Party Finder, and we cleared it pretty fast. It's not the hardest thing, but it is a lot of fun. And the teleporters, however they design them, it's like the most responsive thing I've ever seen in this game. Like, if you've ever played Final Fantasy, you'll know that like sometimes you'll die, your body will be over here, and the AoE's here because you got clipped, because the game basically is like, oh well, he didn't move in time, and so you're dead. When you touch that teleporter, you are shot across like a gun.
Yeah, to the point where in normal, as a black mage, I teleported and then came off of it, and I had triple cast up. I'd already cast once before I ported, so I was trying to fire off to Fire 4s very quickly. So I took like one step off the teleporter and started firing it, and it was like, nope, you didn't step off the teleporter, and sent my ass right back.
The cool thing is, it's like a raider, right? The way I approach fights and stuff, it's so responsive. You can weave. You can do a GCD and you can weave the teleport and not break your GCD. Like you'll be able to keep your GCD rolling, which is awesome that they're able to do a mechanic like that. So it makes a lot of fun. But the only thing that kind of feels bad from that standpoint is he does jump a lot and become untargetable at pretty terrible times. If you play like classes with buffs and stuff, like he'll just, when he's Ifrit, he'll just be like, hey, but the mechanics that he does where he like hangs from the orbs and he died, like they're really cool. The way you have to solve mechanics cool. The way you use the platforms are awesome. Yeah, it's my second favorite EX trial fight in this expansion behind Warrior of Light, I think, and it's up there and just in general.
The Diamond Weapon Extreme or Cloud Deck Extreme and the 24-man, they both have just reinvigorated the desire in me to be able to pull my camera back further. Both of these fights have made me just like, and this happens periodically with a particular trial or a particular raid where you're just like, let me roll this camera back a little further, please. Yeah, but that's never going to happen. We'll see. We'll see. So Tark, we'll skip you on this one. Kronos. Okay. No. I'm sorry. Your final score on the Sorrow quest and the and the Diamond Weapon fight itself.
The quest, I will give it a 9.0. And since it's just a normal, I'll give that a 7.5.
I think that's fair. I would probably give the quest like an 8. No, if I'm gonna rate it higher than the MSQ, I'm gonna. You're right. I think I'll agree with you. Put it at a 9. I actually give the normal version a 6. It's run of the mill and does what it needs to do to complete that storyline. The extreme version, I'll probably give like an 8.5 to it. It's not quite a 9. It's not quite my favorite, but it's probably my second most favorite one in the 5.x series. Go ahead, Kronos.
Yeah, like I agree with you on the extreme. It's probably like right around 8.5. Like I said, like if Warrior Light for me is kind of like a 9, somewhere around there. And like Thornton's probably like my favorite primal, like around like 9.5, 10. So it's probably 8.5 is good. I think personally, because I'm gonna compare it to other side quest stories, I think this is a 10. Like
as far as the quest goes,
I won't disagree with you. But
like Hildebrand is cool, right? and it's like it's different and interesting. But this story like feels like it matters. Whereas Hildebrand's kind of like, comedic relief, kind of.
Yeah, sure.
And I don't think we really have that other than this that exists in the game. So I think it's really good, and it's like a pretty satisfying conclusion. And then they might even do more in the future. So
it very much is. It very much is satisfying. This one I'm gonna have to bow out on. I did not do any of the Save the Queen or Bosja stuff, so I will defer to you, gentlemen. Kronos, we'll start with you.
It's not out yet. So.
This is the 555 stuff. Never mind.
Yeah.
There's been tweaks, but they're just tweaks to
right
things in there.
I'm dumb. No, I'm dumb. That's
all good.
Don't worry.
All good.
Don't worry. You want a G Warrior mount?
Hell yeah!
It would be cool. Dude,
he's not G Warrior. He's G Savior now.
That's true. They changed the name.
G Savior. G Savior. Let's go with the Whirl Eater Unreal. I attempted to queue many times, and I'm DPS, so the trials of DPS, and just got bored with trying to queue so many times. So I actually have not had a chance to even attempt it yet, let alone clear it. What about you, Kronos?
I cleared it today.
Nice. Yeah, all right.
It's an Unreal. It's interesting. The people that attempt it are, I think a lot of people, this is like their, I don't know.
First time, maybe. Yeah.
They call it Unreal, right? And they put it above Extreme, which is weird to me because I feel like the way they try to design it and sell it to people is, hey, you're 430, you can go do this because it's going to sink everyone else down to 430, and you can kind of play this fight as it was back when other people did it, which is cool. But
that's not
feel
exactly
like
what's going on.
It's not. It's actually pretty. I mean, because of the syncing, it makes some things kind of hard. And then you have like with Shiva, for example, like the way stuff was back in the day, where you have to move bosses and they just aren't very responsive. Like the ads do that in this fight. They just go all over the place. Yeah, and people are struggling. Like when I was doing this in PF, the biggest struggle is killing the ad that fears everybody in time and
Yeah.
stun locking it.
That was how it was back in the day too.
Yeah.
That's true.
So it's not really so much people falling off as it is people. Well, I mean, I guess they're falling off. They're getting feared and then they walk off. But it's really not like the slams aren't really killing people. And the Variety Mirror, I think people are trying to figure it out. There's not really another mechanic that exists in the game outside of Leviathan that does that. But it does kind of suck for most healers because it pretty much everything triggers it unless you're a scholar. So
yeah,
they kind of have the edge there. And then Paladin's obviously really good in that fight because it was really good back in the day. It still can do the same thing where you can just that shield bash is actually useful, which is kind of funny. But no, it's fun. I like Leviathan a lot. I'm glad they brought this back. I'm glad this is the new Unreal, and I think I'll have fun doing this once or twice a week. It is what it is.
Tark, have you played it yet?
Not yet.
Okay. But you have been playing quite a bit on the PlayStation 5 now.
Hell yeah.
And the official version of the
Yes.
PlayStation 5. I mean, it's open beta, but for all intents and purposes, it's official, and we expect this open beta to be very, very short unless there's some type of catastrophic failure that they need to address.
Maybe 3 weeks, yeah.
Yeah, which we don't. I don't even know if it'd be that long. I think they'll run 2 weeks and then just launch the damn thing. So you've had 48 hours now to play it. Have you messed with the 4K goodness, the performance setting versus the 4K? Have you messed with all the different interfaces, the load times? Give us the rundown top to bottom. I actually installed it on my PS5 back here, but I was so wrapped up yesterday in playing on the PC that I never switched platforms because I was like, I really want to get this done. Fuck it. Tark is playing on the PS5. I'll let him just carry this segment.
Well, where do we want to start? We want to start with the 4K?
Go wherever you want to, my friend. This is Tark's Corner.
This is freaking gorgeous. The draw distance. I checked out the lock. You can see all the way to Alamigo. You can see the flags flying on Alamigo. It's just, woo. There is a little bit of anomalies with like stairs and stuff, and shadows aren't quite as crisp as they should be. But overall, it's beautiful. Seeing the fields of Pogbathon in the 4K was like, oh, that is gorgeous. And the tower rising up, I was like, this is just amazing. I have not messed with the settings for the 60 frames per second. I plan on doing that for Nier. I have never thought that
Hold on.
icon
Can I ask you a
resolution.
question, actually?
Yeah, go ahead.
You're playing on 4K, right?
Yeah.
You got the goodness. Like,
Mhm.
are we playing on a 4K monitor? Or are we playing on a 4K, fucking monster TV?
My 65-inch Samsung state of the art.
There it is, 65.
Yeah.
That's the stat we were looking
The glorious. It is glorious. I have never thought that the resolution of my icons on my hotbar mattered so much. They are downright crispy clean. It is amazing.
Yoshi
Even
P
the
would
icons,
be very happy to hear you say this.
the icons on the teleport selection screen. I'm like, oh my god. The clarity of the mini map and the map. It's like, holy crap. Like there's like more detail than I can remember. Like where did all this come from? It is glorious. I love it. The load times. Yulmore to wherever you want, or back to Yulmore, 2 seconds tops. If that. It's great. I love it. Why didn't this come sooner? All right,
probably because we had the PlayStation 3 and the PlayStation
PlayStation
4.
4.
Like we had to wait for the PlayStation 5.
Yeah.
Kind of an
Yeah.
incremental thing. I know.
It's so
Sony
good.
making a lot of mistakes lately. If you want to know more about that, watch Gaming Gumbo on Saturdays,
Oh.
7 p.m. Eastern here on Ready Check Radio.
Hey, why are they gonna make a push on that?
I hate you. Yeah, I'm looking forward. I haven't played it yet. I was doing too much in the game that I was like, nah, I don't want to get on the consoles right now because I would have to freaking import my hotbars, and I was just like, we'll hit Tark up for some info on it. But it is installed. It is ready to go. If you've been playing on the PS4 like Tark, or if you play like me on the PS4 casually, you can go ahead and upgrade this. There is no cost for you to do so. So if you own all the expansions, go ahead, get yourself onto the open beta, and then get yourself upgraded. As long as you own the PS4 versions of the game, you can upgrade yourself to the PS5 version. And any of you that started on the PS3, you haven't had to pay for shit. You got to upgrade from the PS3 to the PS4, from the PS4 to the PS5. You can't really beat that. So
they had to pay, dude. They had to play on the PS3.
That's true. That's true.
That's true.
That's true.
That's true.
That is true.
And it's not like
I actually have the
expansion,
software for the
yeah.
PS3, but I never installed it. I don't know why I bought it on the PS3. I wasn't playing on the console. But anyway. All right, some odds and ends here. Kronos, how many new mounts did you pick up?
So I have both the Ishgard mounts. I bought one of the Gil mounts.
Which one?
The cheaper one, the 25 mil. I don't have 75 million Gil, so I have to make some Gil. So I've been crafting a lot.
Come into play.
I already got both the Ishgard mounts, so I had some scripts saved up, and then I was lucky enough to get it on my first FET. I got the mount, so
nice. Done
with that. So I got to get Diamond, but then Diamond will lead to the other mount. I don't know if y'all have seen this, but they found that there's a Cruise Chaser mount coming, but I think it's going to be in the half patch. I'm excited about that. So, but yeah, I'm working my way through getting all of them.
Did you happen to get the last 5.x mount that you needed to get the?
No, I'm missing Diamond.
You're missing Diamond still? I didn't know if you got it to drop or not.
Yeah. No, I've only cleared Diamond 5 or 6 times. It hasn't dropped yet.
That's all, huh? That's all.
I'll get it. I'll get it.
Rest assured, I will get
it. You'll see a picture on Twitter of the Mech Dragon as soon as I get it.
After patch day, we were running into problems with world visits to the point where it just was flat out broken, and people were being stuck in different places. So they had to bring the whole service down. Now, we had that in the show notes. We should update you. That is fixed. That has been resolved as of today. So no longer an issue. And we also received news, gentlemen, that, hey, the next live letter target's going to be at FanFest. I bet you didn't see that one coming, huh?
Shocker!
Right?
I thought it was going to come in the next 2-3 weeks. I don't know why they would push that back so far.
FanFest. It's amazing. It's amazing. Anybody else do their hatching tide? Get your chicken suits?
I did it really quick. No.
There is no mount. There's no minion.
Is there a minion?
No, but there's a dyeable chicken suit. There's a dyeable chicken suit.
I do want to get that.
There was the world first 24-man near kill with all chickens, dude. You missed out on that.
With all chickens.
This game is degenerate, dude. Let me tell you. Everybody just raids and it was cool. It was interesting.
It was a neat little fate.
Yeah, everybody in this game just wants to wear. Eggs. They just want to wear frog suits and chicken suits and choke. I just want to wear a cool robe. These guys are running around like degenerates with dressed up like animals.
Did you see?
You want to look like Hugh Hefner? Is that what it is?
Did you see the new stuff on the store? Speaking of Hugh Hefner, there's a bunny outfit.
Hey,
I'm not even joking. I got my little email today that was like, "Hey, new optional items. One's a bunny outfit." And I was like, "Get the hell out of here!" Come on. All right, so now it is time to give your overall summation of 5.5 and your overall 1 through 10 score from 3 Final Fantasy fanboys. I think, though, we do make a nice balance here because we're not afraid to criticize the game, too. So,
sure.
Let's go. Who wants to go first? Tark, you want to go first?
In my incomplete status,
yeah, you kind of got to give a pending score.
Pending 7.
So just kind of putting it slightly above average, huh?
Yeah. I think Nier will bump that up a little bit, but
I think so too. I think that's fair for you not having done Nier or checked out Diamond Extreme yet. What do you got, Kronos?
I'm gonna say 8.5. This might be one of my favorite patches that doesn't have raid like, you know, I know there's a 24-man raid, but like 8-man raid, like Savage or Ultimate
Savage or
content.
Ultimate. Okay.
I think this might be one of my favorite patches without those, but like obviously those are the reasons I play the game, which is why I probably can't give this patch like a 9 or a 10. So I'll say 8.5.
I think I'm going to go and I'm going to put it at the 7.58 spot, like right in there. Like if I'm feeling generous, let's say 8. And you know what? Let's just give it an 8. I'll say that the 24-man pulls it up away from the 7.5 territory. I think Diamond Extreme is a tremendously good fight. I think Diamond Normal is perfectly adequate at what it does. I think the dungeon is fantastic cinematically and narratively for the main story quest, but at the end of the day is another walk in a straight line making big pulls until you get to the boss dungeon, and I just want to see something different on that front. The main story quest itself, I think, was too much of a tease. I understand that it's the .5, it's going to be split into 2 parts, and it's going to lead into the expansion, so there's going to be some teasing / cliffhangers, but I just think we didn't really move the story forward at all here, besides setting Tiamat free and then burning through the dungeon and killing Lunar Bahamut, and that's it. Now Tiamat is presumably free to do whatever Tiamat wants to do with dragons, and maybe that'll come back into play in 5.5.5 or 6.0. Maybe it won't. It just feels like, we didn't really move anything forward. It was too much of a tease, let's say. So I'm going to put it right at 8. I think it's a very, very well done patch. Left a little to be desired in some fronts, and I'm really wondering why the hell I have a new weekly quest that doesn't show me any reputation gains, or I don't know why I'm doing it, except it seems like it's probably going to add the Paradigm's Breach portable journal stuff. That looks to be what it's doing. We'll see next Tuesday if when I do this we get another letter from Anog Kronos. So I'm going to put it at an 8. I think that's fair. They've done better, but they've also done worse. Last 2 things on the Square Enix side of business. Told you we'd get to them, but not a lot we can spend a ton of time on. Saga Frontier Collection has released, so a little reminder if you wanted to pick that up. It is out. I will be getting that, so look for me to stream it at some point. I don't know when. Yeah, Ulda on the Amal Jaw. Yeah, that was the quickest piece brokering ever between Ulda and the Amal Jaw. It was like, hey, you guys died on the battlefield. No more are we going to fight each other.
It was kind of like when they made a Steady and a Scion. They're like, hey, you want to be a Scion, bro? Yeah, cool, I'm in. All right, sweet.
Graha Tia, too. Hey, you want to be a Scion? Yeah, all right, sweet. Scion, welcome.
It's like Tony Stark dubbing Spider-Man. You're an Avenger. You're done.
If you have been playing Nier Automata or Nier Automata, depending on whatever you prefer to call it, via the Steam version, and you've been a little disappointed, there have been a lot of issues on the Steam version. Ironically, the Microsoft Windows Store version working better. God, who thought I'd ever say that about any product? That is getting some severe patching. Square Enix is not leaving you in the dark, and mercifully, because they need to. So there's been some issues there. All right, gentlemen, I think it's time we head over and do Love It or Leave It. Yeah, the Amal John Ulda. We're sorry. We're sorry too. All right, let's go. All right. So now I'm going to ask, we've all rated it, we've all gone through it. I'm not going to ask you to love or leave the whole patch, because you better love it or the story ends here. But I do want to set aside the main story quest itself, and again, in a vacuum, not comparing it to other .3s, .5s, whatever, just looking at this particular presentation, the MSQ, and you can include the dungeon. Did you love it, or do you leave it and you're just waiting for the next version? Kronos, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I'm gonna go love it. Like I said, not having solo instances and stuff that's not really like a reason I really play the game much, so it doesn't bother me. I get why people would be upset that they're not there, but I like where the story's going. It's got me thinking about what they're gonna be doing late in the future, which is kind of what every patch feels like it does leading up to the expansion. So I definitely love it.
Targoth. Much contemplation.
Much contemplation. I love it. It was a good dungeon. I like the little twist at the end because I thought the towers were batteries funneling to the moon. No, they're batteries to funnel the creations of lunar primals. So that was a cool little twist. I love it.
Hold on. I gotta interject on that one because I totally forgot to bring this up. You just reminded me. Watching the main story quest and having all these characters ask about different functions of the tower and how do they do this and why do they do this and stuff like that. Nobody asked how they just appeared in multiple places instantaneously. Like
true.
Not one Scion is like, oh yeah, by the way, while we're talking about what are the Garleans doing with this, should we ask how are the Garleans able to just build infrastructure within all the city walls, basically, of every major city-state in Eorzea without any of us knowing?
Suspend your disbelief. They just appeared magic. It's magic.
It's magic. Anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Tark.
So I'm gonna love it, and I can't wait for the last part. It's gonna be epic.
I gotta leave it, gentlemen. I mean, I hate to disagree and play negative Nancy on this one. And that's not because I hated it. I like the dungeon. I've already been I gave the damn thing the whole patch an 8. But the main story quest by itself, even counting the dungeon, although very cinematic and very narratively driven and fitting with the MSQ, I don't feel like we actually moved the damn story. I felt like this was a placeholder for, well, we really can't reveal that. We can't reveal that, and we can't reveal that. That's going to be in the .5 or in the 6.0 launch. So what if we bring in Lunar Bahamut and another and we'll free Tiamat and they can fight that real quick. That'll get us to the .5. And I know it's probably more well thought out than that, and it'll probably be narratively tied up in 5.5 and into the launch of 6.0. But in a vacuum by itself, this feels like a patch that if I didn't do the content of, I wouldn't be all that narratively behind anybody. So on that respect, I think I got to say leave it. It feels bad, though, to say that.
That is very sad.
If
they didn't pull a
Moonbrita
with Lunar Bahamut, would you feel differently?
If they would have just shown me the fucking weapon, like give me something, like any one of those things, Tark, any one of those things, and I wouldn't have thought that they were holding everything back for .55. I just came out of it with the impression of they wanted to reveal nothing here. And so,
kind of like the live letter.
Let's fill the yeah, actually, a lot like the previous live letter. Yeah. All right, let us know what you think in the comments below. Now, just a quick note: there is no Relic Grind next Thursday. There's actually no podcast next week at all. Now, we'll still be streaming as normal, so everybody will be streaming and playing their games, including me where I'm able to. As normal, but there will be no podcast. We're getting new desktop equipment here at the center, my office. And so we'll be, moving files and all that shit. So I'm still going to try to stream Monday, Wednesday, Friday, provided I'm, up and running enough to be able to do that, but no podcast next week. So we will see you 2 Thursdays from now. Let us know in the comments below, either on YouTube or on ReadyCheckRadio.com, what you thought of the expansion or the 5.5 patch and the dungeon and the 24-man and all of it. Let us know in the comments below, and we'll be sure to circle back next show and get Tarkoth's final opinions on some of those things. Until next time, Kronos, where can everybody find you, my friend?
Yeah, same as always. If you want to see the Mech Dragon picture at the end of this week when I get my mount, follow me on Twitter. It's down there.
Big show off. Tark?
You can find me at Twitch and Twitter at Tarkoth Gaming. It's right there. And I just hope for Soken's remix of the song Push It. Push it real good.
I'm Mike Byrne. You can follow me right there at MagicMan1, but more importantly, follow at RC Radio. Get all the tweets every time we go live for one of our 3 shows or any one of our volunteer streamers who hang out all the time playing games, hanging out and having fun with you. Until next time, gang, stay safe. We'll see you on the servers. Later.